I'm just making sure we're all good to go. Welcome to a Monday moment. We've only had a handful of these, but we're here and I'm super excited. I am not going to keep you long because we have to go to work in the morning. But I am just so excited. This weekend, I had a lot of healing and recovery and rejuvenation to do. Had to really take a plug out to take really good care of myself and just restore self. So, had to make sure we still got our moment in, but was definitely not well enough to do a moment this weekend. So I just want to thank you for your mommy mercy, your Monday mercy for those tuning in real time. I'm just still getting the specs. Forgive me. But again, welcome to a Monday moment and let's get it in. Again, like I said, I do not want to keep you long. I am super excited that you tuned in tonight. I'm excited for those that are tuning in at another night, another day on their way to work tomorrow in the office. I just gotta make sure I got my little soundtrack stuff close. So just again, thank you for the mommy mercy. Thank you for the Monday mercy. Thank you for grabbing your moment. You are awesome for us continuously having moments. And hey, Mr. Carter, I am so much more miss for those who cannot see the chat. I'm responding to some comments coming in, but I am so much more full of energy today because I took that time to really heal and take care of myself. Oftentimes, y'all see me on a Sunday moment and I'm going through something health wise and I'm like pushing through and I'm all straining. But look what happens when I say, listen, give it a minute. I feel so much better and beyond grateful that my moment exchanger said, listen, girl, I got to go to work in the morning, but I'm going to grab this moment with you tonight. So let's get into a phenomenal moment with my phenomenal exchangers and incredible people coming here for the same goal: to grow, to glow, to keep it going. I'm super excited for tonight's moment and what we are able to make happen tonight. We are summing up the series I Know You Lying. We are no longer in July. Was this our first no, we had on the 1st of August, we had an August episode. So we are in an August episode. Ashay, let me back. It looks like it. It looks like great minds responding in the chat. Love you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Carter. But we had a moment, an August moment. This is our second one, but we're still talking in the series of July for 2026. Is on Do Not Disturb. I don't even know how that call came through, but hopefully I'll call back to back. Some people not on my stream. Um, Chill on your girl. I gotta get a moment done. You know what I'm saying? This phone never stops ringing. The work is never done. Um, what was I gonna say? We did an August moment, but we are still closing up a July series. Once this is the last of the July series, I Know July. We're gonna get into our August series, and we'll be finishing that up the 15th through the 29th. So, which means Saturday the 15th, Saturday the 22nd, Saturday the 29th, unless they move to Sunday moments. That is how we're going to close out August. So we will have 3 weeks of our August series. Jump back in in September, back at 4 weeks in each series. We're doing that all the way through 2026, a series of mini series and a moment of harmony, addressing our growth and development 1 month at a time. In the past, what we normally have done in a moment of harmony is our and I'm just gonna, this is like irritating me. I'm sorry, y'all. Sometimes I feel like, I put it on and it was all right, and now it's in my way. But in a moment of harmony, what we've normally done traditionally is we've had series that last 32 weeks, 40 weeks, 20 something weeks. We normally just have these big chunks of coursework that we get in and we move through, and we tried something very new in 2026, 4 weeks courses, 4-week courses for 12 months, and just really microdose the growth. Bars. And just be able to take our time with each subject and dive in one subject at a time and just get a real fresh dose the next time. So that's what we've been doing. 3 weeks for August. I'm going to give you the new August theme and the title for August, but we are closing up today in I Know July. This is people telling us who we are, telling us what we should and shouldn't do. People looking at us in our year, in the 8th month of the year, telling us what's possible for us and what's not possible for us. Us looking at our list of goals and ambitions and being able to decide for ourselves that we're giving up on ourselves, or we're giving up on our goals and our dreams, or we're writing the year off as unsuccessful, even though we are still in time to make the greatest things happen for us this year. So that is where we are in August. Currently, last episode of the July series, 3 weeks of the August series, and getting back on track for September. You got it? Okay, y'all got it. So I'm excited to get into it tonight. I know you lying. We are talking about who aren't, people telling us. So last week we talked about shouldn't. We talked prior about people telling us what we couldn't do, what we shouldn't do. And now we are going to talk about people saying who we are and who we aren't. Really trying to define us as you aren't ready, or you aren't enough, or you aren't worthy. We are dispelling all of that on a Moment of Harmony tonight. We are realigning our perspective thought for the weight that we give people to weigh in our lives, and the weight that we cherish and that we honor within ourselves of what we say about who we are and how that translates into our reality. We're getting into all of that tonight in tonight's episode entitled Damaging Definitions. And I'm super excited about it again because everybody wants a signature in your book, but a signature is not law. A signature is not the story. It's not the behind the scenes. It is someone just signing on to say they saw you, they know you, and they have something to say about you. And we cannot take those things into our manifestation journeys. We cannot take those things into our realities. And we are certainly not taking the signatures of others to the bank. Okay? This is us being able to say for ourselves, I define for myself, I am the possibility, I am the access, and we're going to get into all of that tonight on this very special Monday moment. So, I want to make sure I didn't miss any announcements. 10 Gray, Nova, back in the day, I know him as Nova Gray, but he calls himself 10 now, had a birthday on the is today the 10th? 10 on the 10th. Happy birthday there. Leo season, lights, camera, action is getting real famous in here. And I don't know a whole bunch of other August birthdays that's not flipping in my mind right away. Baba Coaxum, happy birthday. To Learn, happy birthday. Some of them are coming in now as I'm thinking. So happy birthday, Leos. The lions out and about. I love you. I celebrate you. I always celebrate that you're here. I'm happy that you exist. And if you are having a birthday, you're going to get some love here on A Moment of Harmony. Now, let's move right into our moment so I can get you guys all tucked in for work tomorrow. Okay? Your moment right before you go to sleep. I know you're lying. So today we are talking damage and definitions, like I prefaced. We are getting into allowing ourselves to not subscribe to damaging definitions of ourselves, to not work within the energy of damaging definitions about our lives, about who we are, about the steps that we set forth for ourselves, and to not get stuck in patterns and traumas that don't even belong to us but are damaging us in the ways that we are identifying with them. So the first thing that I want to, let me get all comfortable so we can get into it. The first thing that I want to talk about in regards to, I know you lying, us being able to tell people who are saying, listen, I don't think that you're ready for this, whether it's at work and it's promotions or it's school. I don't think that you're worthy of this, whether it's dating and toxicity and just damage, the damage coming in on us. I don't think that you're good enough for this, something that you want to try or trying out or something that you're struggling with. I want us to get real clear on definitions of who we are versus identifiers of who we are. I feel like one of the biggest mistakes that we make in what we believe for ourselves comes in the definitions that have been projected upon us, the definitions that have been reflected upon us, and the definitions that have been forced on us. And it is hurting how we show up in our dreams. It is hurting how we show up in the best versions of ourselves. It is hurting how we show up in our reality. But here on A Moment of Harmony, we're going to get our perspective straight. We're going to do some healing to those definitions that have damaged us, that we are carrying subconsciously, that we are carrying wrongfully, inappropriately, carrying some stuff that don't even belong to us. So we're getting into that tonight. Now, when it comes to something or someone defining you versus something identifying you, and the way that we merge the two of those linguistically, operationally, I want us to get like, we're not doing that anymore. I know you lying when you are trying to say that I have to identify as your definition of me. I have to identify in the definition that was projected upon our family or my last name, or have to identify in a projection of a stereotype. I know you lying, okay? Definitions, when we talk about mixing those two and using definitions as identifiers for self, subscribing our identities for definitions that don't belong to us. Definitions are external outlining perspectives. These are things that people see about us or we see about ourselves and define or describe us in a way. You are in no way, no shape or form, as a divine being of light, as human flesh and bone, married to spirit and illumination. You are in no way able to be defined by a single or multiple external perspectives. That's the first thing I really want us to get, because there's a lot of time in healing sessions when people say, oh, I feel ugly, or I feel old, or I feel not ready or not worth. People say these things in healing sessions, and a lot of times they are coming from definitions projected, reflected, enforced. And then because you read this definition about yourself so many times, you now have adopted it into an identification of self. When people want to tell us who we are and who we are not, we do not want to make the mistake of identifying with a definition. So definitions, defining someone is an external outline perspective, negative or positive. You can make definitions about yourself based on external perspectives, negatively or positively, but keep them just as what they are. These are external outlines and perspectives of me. It doesn't mean that it is all that I am. It doesn't mean that I am totally encompassed of this or consist of this completely. It is an external outlining perspective of the way someone sees me or has experienced me or perceives me based on their own personal vision. Okay. External outline perspective, definition. Identification. What I identify as, that comes from a reality that you feed. So what is an external outlining perspective? This is you saying, from what I see, she is rich, or she is poor, or she is nice, or she is mean. These are external outlining perspectives versus an identity, which is the reality that I naturally feed in my operation, in my beingness, in my reality. This is the reality that I feed. Now, I'm going to give a practical example because I know y'all know I be saying a lot of things. Okay, so let's rewind it. So when we talk about the difference between definitions and identifications, I don't want us to get mixed up to say like, oh, somebody made a statement about me or an opinion about me, and I don't choose to accept that. I want us to get clear about the difference between definitions that is your personal experience versus your identification, which is a truer fact because it is a reality that you actually feed, that your life actually demonstrates naturally, innately, or consistently. So, a definition may be you are a that guy. He's a good guy. He's a smart guy. He's a welcome to a moment of harmony. Um, and, and, and you may say, oh, that means this person experienced you as a good guy. This person experienced with you their external outlining perspective is that I am defining you. This is a personal perspective as a nice or a good guy. That definition can change. Someone 6, 7 years ago may not say the same thing. Someone that went to school with you or got in trouble with you may have a different definition. The identifiers, however, do not change externally. They only change internally. An example of that is someone saying you are a deadbeat dad or you are a deadbeat mom. You do not have to identify with that unless your life feeds that narrative. Okay? So again, external projection of who someone thinks or how someone experiences me versus internally what I actually nurture, grow, and illuminate. And the reason I am breaking this down because so many of us have taken definitions, nurtured them, harvested them, focused on them so much that they have morphed into identifications of who we are and what we're capable of. And I want us to be clear on it because I would like us to stop feeding the reality of old definitions that have now become part of our identities, that are slowing down our realities, that are stunting our possibilities. Got it? Okay, now, identifying, say, listen, you want to define me as a deadbeat mom or a deadbeat dad. I don't identify that. However, if your life feeds that, right? You're not consistent with your children. You don't take care of your children. You don't show up. That has gone from a definition to a real identifier of who you are. But no one controls if that actually is a part of who you are except for you, because it depends on what you feed and not what someone else thinks or what someone else sees or a version of you that someone has experienced. This is important because a lot of times people want to tell us that we are worthy, we are ready, or we are not worthy, or we are not capable based on seasons and experiences of our lives. Definitions. So there may be people that are tied to your past, tied to your family, tied to other versions of yourself that have now boxed you definitionally in a space that is not who you are and should not be a part of your identity today. That becomes so very important because a lot of the reasons that we are giving up, a lot of the reasons that we are fearful of moving forward, a lot of the reasons that we are fearful of transformation or reinventation, I just probably reinvented a word. Let's say recalibration, reinventing ourselves. Let me get it together. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the reason that we subscribe to those things is because someone who witnessed or experienced a version or reality with us or about us has planted a seed that we have taken into how we now identify in the grand scheme of life. What I would like us to be able to do with me being able for us to be able to navigate the differentiation between a definition of who you are and an identifying factor of who you are is for us to be able to clearly see when someone says you cannot, you are not, you should not, that it is literally coming from a outlining external perspective. This is your own definition of what I'm capable of. It is not one that I have to wear. It is not one that I have to project. I don't have to adopt it. I don't have to live in it. Peace and welcome to a moment of harmony. I'm so grateful for you to be here. If you came in light, you came in right, and I'm super we're blessed to have you. So the reality that you feed is the only identifier that you control or possess that now has power in your life. And I want us to be very clear that next time someone says, "Oh, you want to get married?" I don't think you're ready for that. I don't think you're ready to have children, or I don't think you are the mother type, or I don't think you are the husband type. I don't think you are an entrepreneur. I don't. The next time someone wants to tell you what you are and are not, I want you to be able to appropriately say, "This has been your experience of me. This is your external perspective of me, but this is not something that I have to partake in, take with me, or be committed to, or even use as I'm continuing to move forward." That is so important because we're getting so late in the year and we're still waiting on breakthroughs. Some of us are still waiting on miracles, are still waiting on those goals and those ambitions to come to fruition later on down the line, and we're tripping that they haven't. And you're letting people get in your ear about, "Guess this just not your year." You know what I'm saying? Always a bridesmaid. The little choop choop choop. Well, you know what the administration is doing, so this, you're probably not going to be able to buy a house this year. You're probably, everybody wants to say what you are and are not capable of. And I want you to be able to make the demarcation. I want you to clearly be able to say, "I see your definition. It is not mine. I do not identify. Period. This is not a reality that I feed. I don't feed a reality that I cannot be an entrepreneur. I don't feed a reality that I cannot be a successful working parent. I don't feed a reality that I cannot manifest a loving, supportive relationship. My identity, what I identify with, is my capabilities and not your projections." What does that look like in real life? Right? Brings me to the next point. When I first came in, many people know my history and how I made it to a moment of harmony. I started out with years of community advocacy work in what many of us would consider as the conscious community, or the community of woke folk, people who see and build life in a very revolutionary manner, or feel like there is a cultural base to a way that we operate, and that we should get back to the grounds of self in order to help and heal one another. So that was my work for many years, is my work. I shouldn't say was, but on the groundwork. Now she's a little seasoned, okay? So she's a little bit more in the consultation phase of it. But that was many years how I started out with even moving towards a moment of harmony. I was a facilitator for youth programs, youth classes, adult classes, and again, on the ground, ground zero, front line, working in the communities. Now, all of the cliches, I've come in contact with all the cliches of said communities. And one of the things that I used to buck, I used to buck a lot of things, but one of the main things that I used to buck as it pertains to the subject that we're speaking on tonight is, there are often times when people are re-identifying themselves or realigning themselves with a natural or core version of themselves. There are often times rules like projected onto individuals or lined out. If you want to be back in touch with yourself, if you want to be your truest version of yourself, if you want to be the most accepted version of yourself in this lane, this is how you behave. This is what you are. This is what makes you that, right? This is what makes you dedicated, or this is what makes you serious. So this is what makes you qualified. Now, I'm not in any way saying that processes and certifications and those things are null and void. That's not what I'm saying. I very much honor a system of hierarchy, and I honor a system of earning and creating and solidifying yourself through processes and methods. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying, and in this instance, I'm using more of the conscious community. However, there are many communities that operate in this way. There are religious institutions that say, in order to be a decent woman, this is what a decent woman does. This is what a God-fearing man does. This is how a Christian, Christians listen to this music or not that music. Again, Muslims, other, all types of ways. There are people that will define what makes you a good, worthy, or acceptable version of who you are becoming. In this instance, I'm using the example of the conscious community. I ain't come for nobody. There's love and light here. Nothing but love and light, lessons learned. You know what I'm saying? But I'm using this as an example. Early on, when I first came in, there were all of these guidelines that would come from non-African women, meaning they could come from men. I mean, they could come from other people of other descent, but they would say, and in this specific case, lots of men that would say, if you want to recenter yourself or re-Africanize yourself or core yourself into who you are, you can't do this, 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 and this. And it would say, listen, one of the examples was, and I'm not a makeup girl. Y'all can see I'm a big natural girl. I like a little shimmer and a lip gloss when I'm getting fancy. But for the most part, I'm natural. But what I did have an issue was definitions and projections of what made a person becoming themselves a suitable version of that, who they're becoming. Let's get back to the example so I don't get now. They would say, for example, Black women, natural African-centered women are natural. They don't wear makeup, right? This was just one of the debates early on. With not everyone, this is broad, right? But this is, again, one of those things that came to me early about accepting damaging definitions and tying yourself or anchoring yourself to definitions that merge themselves into your identity. Now, back in the day, because I'm 40 now, but I was a little bit more of a firecracker. I don't know. I might be more of a firecracker now. I don't know. But I was a little bit feisty coming in because I was, feeling out what was coming in. I don't want to use the word feisty. That may be strong. But let's just say I questioned what questions, okay? I had things that I had questions about, church finger. One of the things that I did not used to like was I was not one of them women that wanted to wear makeup, but I did have a problem with people who were not African women telling African women what made African women because of something they've read or because of something they studied or something that they felt very familiar with. So I used to say, at times when I would get those definitions from like, oh, and I'll use this too. Maybe they say African women breastfeed. That's our cultural way. They're not wrong. I'm not at all saying that environmental indoctrinations aren't real, that impositions of external cultures aren't real. I'm not saying that. Stick with me, okay? What I am saying is that for a woman to think she's not naturally a Black woman because she bottle feeds was not okay with me. Even though I was a nurse, I nursed, you know what I'm saying? But it was this feeling of like, so I used to have this smart aleck thing that I do. I still might do it in an altercation from time to time when I feel like someone is imposing a way on me instead of humbling themselves to my personal authority, my personal rights, and absolutely my personal space in the freedoms of the universe, right? So I used to say, when they would say, Black women don't wear makeup, I would say, they would say natural Black women or authentic or real. They would use all those adjectives. And then they would say, don't wear makeup. And I would always say this, are you asking me or are you telling me? Right? And the reason that that would always be my response to any of those, in order to be authentically natural or centered or arrived, you have to behave this way, you have to tell me this way. And the reason I would say that is because there's this thin line between how life interferes with the natural becoming of something that already is. And there was always this reminder for me that was very important, that you are not creating me. This, this, and that goes on all sides, right? That goes on the side that is more oppressive and anti-cultural, and it goes on the side of those who feel like they are assisting it and offering enlightenment. But everything in life, as a creatus and a creator, for those source energy males, everything in life, no one is making you. I love Jay-Z, you made me, make another me, right? No one is creating you. No one is making you. Therefore, there can be no one truly defining you. Can people offer their opinions, their perspectives, and their enlightenment? Of course, always welcome. But do keep in mind that I have a liberty of beingness that belongs to no one. Belongs to no one. I have the ability to morph and to grow and to become. And that is a freedom of range that belongs to only me. No, we're not going to be foolish, right? Now, I understand our way, because I know this is a tricky little subject, right? I understand in GAA too, and I understand, listen, culturally, we don't defile children, we don't disrespect women. I get it. When we talk about cultural norms and we talk about cultural history, these again are identifiers versus definitions. And the identifiers are realities that we feed. We are not healthy communities when we operate a certain way. We are dysfunctional, we are hurting, we are struggling when we do not operate in the alignment of cultural norms and regulations. Not opposing that. My thing comes down to the definitions that we begin to take a hold of, that begin to cause us to second guess or doubt the power of who we are. And again, that relates to this grand scheme of the moment that we're talking about right now. For those of us that think you're not going to buy a house, you're not going to get out of debt, you're not going to lose the weight, you aren't. And I don't want us getting caught up. So back to the example of Black women don't wear makeup. I would always say this, are you asking me or are you telling me? Because what I am saying in that stance is you literally are talking to a Black woman. And it would be best if you would ask me what I do, as opposed to tell me what I do. It would be best if you travel safely around your projections onto who I am, and you miss the opportunity to learn about what I'm actually capable of, and if we're gonna have a conversation and this doesn't go into you telling me about me and then I am just subscribing to that definition, let us regroup. Are you asking me or are you telling me? And I would use the example of who defines the dog. If there's a dog and a cat in the room, does the cat tell us what a dog is, or does a dog tell us what a dog is? Because I have debunked your statement, if I am a Black African-centered woman wear makeup, right? And I want us to keep that in mind, because we'll have people that say, I'll go back to the dog and cat. Dogs, definitions versus identifiers. An identifier is a reality that you feed. I can identify you as that. I can say that dog sleeps a lot. That is a greedy dog. That is a playful dog, because I'm literally watching this dog feed these identities all that. It's a male dog because I'm watching the dog use a male part, and so I can identify things that this dog feeds regularly. But if I say dogs don't sleep under chairs, cats do. If there is a dog sleeping under the chair, I no longer can project that the dogs don't sleep under chairs or anything to that nature, right? Dogs don't jump up on people's laps or dogs don't eat cat food. If you see a dog eating a cat food, you cannot then make that definition on you, right? So if I am, you are not going to bring it all the way back around. You are not going to say that real mothers, these are the things that hold us back. Mothers don't work. Good mothers, real mothers, they don't work. They stay in the house. This is an external outlining perspective that differs from a identification that I should identify with, because if I'm a mom that successfully works outside of the house and mothers, I in my own reality have debunked this what you've put on me. I am literally a mother that works. Therefore, you could never come to me and say real mothers don't work. I would say, with my smart aleck self, are you asking me or are you telling me? Because I am a real mother that works. Okay. How that comes down into the way we see ourselves, right? There will be people say, hey, you're in a certain income bracket, you could never qualify for something, or you've been divorced so many times, or you have so many children, you are not dateable, or you're not what did they, I'm trying to think of what that man used to say, high value, right? You're not high value. All of these external, I can't tell you. I have a friend now who's married for many years, getting into the dating field and has children, and thought for years and was told for years that her dating life would be a dud because she has children, and is enjoying a healthy dating life. And my things, thank you, love. And my things is because whomever defined you as undateable, whomever defined you as undesirable, whomever said between this age and this age, between this race and that race, between this income bracket and that income bracket, whomever defined you as that was external, was an external perspective that was outlining what they saw, what they've experienced, what they know or lack thereof. That has nothing to do with how you should identify in this life and in this world. So the identifying component would be, are you telling me that mothers are less desirable? Or are you asking me if mothers are less desirable, right? MILF, bars, you know what I'm saying? So you cannot define me. Now, we can put that into our finances. We can put that into our goals and ambitions. We can put that into our starting over. We can put that into realigning ourselves and redefining ourselves in so many aspects. I say, Mr. Carter, it goes into so many different ways where we have to be very clear on accepting damaging definitions into our reality and adopting them into our identity that slow us down, that harm us, and cut us short in this big, beautiful, grand scheme of things. Now, how do we guard, shout out to the dog, how do we guard ourselves in these perspectives to not get so caught up in someone's definition? Who told you? I love Malcolm X. Who told you to hate yourself? Who told you that you were undesirable? Who told you that you were too old to make it big in life? Who told you that you could never be successful in your talents because you spent the last 20 years working in corporate or doing something else, and now your skills and talents are not useful? Who told you Michael X, who told you to hate yourself? This have nothing to do with you, right? And I want us to be able to say, well, how do we guard on that harmony? How when we hear people say you aren't ready, You aren't worthy. You aren't good enough. You aren't in the number. You aren't on the list. How do we guard against accepting that, being defeated by that, letting go of dreams, ambitions, goals, standards? Because we say, oh, maybe this person is right. There is a term that we use as woke folk called kuji chakulia, which is a keeping it Coogee, okay? This is a Kwanzaa term. It is a Kwanzaa day, and it is a cultural communal operation. Kuji Chakulia means self-determination. It is literally one of my favorite principles of Kwanzaa. Kuji Chakulia, self-determination. I do not accept damaging definitions. I define for myself, and only the tree can tell you what a tree is. Only a flower can tell you what a flower is. Only a divine goddess can tell you what I am, what I'm capable of, and what is waiting for me, right? As soon as you begin to adopt someone else's version of that, it becomes your reality, and it moves horribly and dangerously from an external definition to an identifying factor and component of who you are and what you are capable of. And in a moment of harmony tonight, we saying, I know you lying. Okay? No, 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 no. Not over here. Okay, not over here. All right, now, when it comes down to us having these abilities to not adopt falsely, subconsciously, inappropriately, inaccurately, or accidentally, these external definitions, I want us to remember, Kuji Chakoli. I know that's a lot. If you're not even in the Kwanzaa and all that, you like, girl, what? But it means self-determination. Self-discipline, self-defining, and self-directing. Are you asking me, or are you telling me? Because I will tell you what a woman does. As a woman, only I can tell you what goes on. You know what I'm saying? You can study me. You can read about me. Google me. You know what I'm saying? You can ask about me. But only I can tell you who, what, where, and why of me. It's my landscape. Okay? When you venture into my space of identity, you are a visitor. You are visitable. You are visiting my energy. You are visiting my orbit. You are visiting my capabilities. You are a visitor in the space of me, just as I am of you, okay? So, Kuji Chakalia, so I determine as self for self. Now, self-discipline means that the way I guard against what you define me as, oh, you're a good mom, or you're a bad mom, or you're a pretty lady, or you're an ugly lady, I have the discipline that grows in me what I am attempting to grow in me, and you're not growing it. So even if you don't see it yet, you can't tell me what I am. I'm growing it. My self-discipline dictates that I am studying, that I am writing, that I am working out, that I am reflecting, that I am growing. The I am is just what it sounds like. It's the I am. It ain't no we is. Okay, I know it's we are, but it's not that. No one says affirmations that says we are, we are, we are. Okay, the affirmations of growth and development and transformation always start with I am. And in the I am, the you are is a visitor. Okay. Self-discipline. My self-discipline keeps me keeping it Coogee. It's what helps me self-define. You may not see it yet in the bank account, in the clothes. I'm not on Facebook. Maybe you don't see the flights yet. Okay? You don't see me stepping out the Rolls Royce yet. But I know what my self-discipline is growing in the seeds that I am planting within myself. Therefore, you cannot define me. Now, self-defining. I do not walk around as a blank book for you to fill my pages. I walk around as an open book to share my pages with you. This is how we guard against damaging definitions imposed upon us. I am not a blank book. I am an open book, and that is very different. Some of y'all not even an open book, and that's okay. You know what I'm saying? You a journal with a lock on it, and access permitted when I say. But when you live the type of life that I live, and you are a serve, you serve, you live to serve. Many times you are an open book, and many times people mistake that for a blank book. Let me tell her how she should be. Let me tell you how she can get better. Let me dictate. Let me misdirect. Let me redirect. Let me impose. And I am quick to say, my love, darling, I am an open book, not a blank book. These pages are already filled. I am self-defined. I am that I am because I came and are becoming. Okay? Now, there's a quote by Maya Angelou that I love, and I've stated on a Moment of Harmony before, so if you heard it, bear with me. But when my niece, one of my older nieces, went off to be in the Navy. Shout out to Bones. When she left, I shared this quote with her on her journey into the world, and Maya Angelou says that when she left her house at 17 with a baby, and her mom did not want her to move out. But her mom wanted her to stay and felt like she needed to get more solid in being a mom and save her money. But Maya Angelou just knew she was grown and she didn't want to live like a child anymore. And she was somebody's mama and she wanted to make her own decisions. So she moved on out. And her mama said this. She said, as she was walking out the door, one of my favorite quotes by Maya, because I have 100 of those, but one of my favorite quotes, she said, as she was walking out the door, her mama said, I want you, as you go out into that world, I want you to remember one thing. You've been raised. You've been raised. You're not looking for somebody. So that was the term. Now I'm going to elaborate, okay? In a harmonism, my own harmonism. So she's saying, you're not looking for anyone to teach you nothing. Not that we can't learn and grow, but you are not walking out of here deaf, dumb, blind, or stupid. Don't let anybody remake you. Don't let anyone recreate you. Don't let anyone tell you who you are. You've been raised. You go out into that world and you understand that you got some sense about yourself, okay? Self-defining. I am not a blank book, boo-boo. I am an open, especially at 40, these pages just full, okay? All you can do is read and appreciate. And if there's some editing that needs to be done, I shall do that, okay? But self-defining, Kuji Chagalia, right? Self-determination. Guarding against damaging definitions that we take on. Discipline yourself. It is the seeds that you are planting. Nobody know about your seeds. Self-defining. No one can tell you who you know who I am. Are you me? You know what I'm saying? And then self-direct. It doesn't mean that we can't seek help, support, guidance, or counsel. Smart people do that. Healthy, right? Healthy counsel and support. But what it does mean is that I am not looking for direction from any types of, I shared this a little bit ago in another moment recently. I don't need the rules and regulations to establishments as I enter them because I am evolved. I am a evolved being. You don't have to tell me not to hit people. You don't have to tell me not to be rude or raise my voice or no texting while talking to the waitress. You don't have to tell me these codes of conduct that are put out as rules and laws because I am self-governed. I direct myself. If you make the mistake of not directing yourself, you do and are limited to the direction of a constitution, a societal structure, or the illusions and delusions of loved ones, friends, and associates. As opposed to being able to have discernment and say, I self-direct. Because here's the thing, they can tell you, when you're in here, don't do this, don't do that. Etiquette, cool. But if they leave something out, you are not directing yourself. disciplining yourself, defining yourself, working yourself enough to have discernment to direct yourself accordingly. So, abiding by someone else's definitions and rules per se limit you, as well as define you in the light and in alignment with whatever lane you are a part of that could be greatly leaving a deficit in who you're intended to be. So, I self-direct. I don't need anyone to say, listen, if I was you, right? Because this is how people, I wouldn't try to go after that retirement this early. Again, nothing wrong with advice, nothing wrong with counsel. But when it comes to how I define who I am, when it comes to my measure of what I can achieve, that there is my own compass internally called my wisdom, my experiences, my growth, my development, and my good old womb tuition. Okay. And for brothers, your intuition. Okay. Self-discipline, self-defining, self-direction will guard you against subconsciously, inappropriately, falsely, or even accidentally adopting a damaging definition that limits your possibilities for growth and development, and that stunts all of the magic waiting to come up out of you. Okay. Now, as we conclude, as we proceed, okay, to give you what you need, I had to add that little one. But as we conclude on this Monday moment and this Monday night, thank y'all. Y'all gotta go to work in the morning. Y'all so great. As we conclude, this is the new definition of self that I would like, or let's say I would suggest, not a definition of self, that's too much. This is the vibration. Let me do that. This is, I know, I'm sorry, I reminded you. This in the chat again. This is the vibration I would like us to keep in our pocket for all those people that want to say you are not, or you are. I'm sitting up in here and I'm telling you that you are. I'm sitting up in here telling you you are not. You are not ready. You are not worthy. You are not able. You are not capable. This is the vibration I want you to pull out your pocket for yourself, not for others. Because go on and define for yourself. Okay, you walk around with your Webster. That have nothing to do with me. But to keep for yourself. This is even when you are tempted to define yourselves on old patterns, define yourselves on old behaviors, old traumas, old ways of being, outdated or outgrown realities, and you are tempted to say, I used to, I did, my family did, people know me to do this, people believe me, but I really want to do and be and grow into something better. I want you to pull this vibration out. For everybody that thinks you're too far in the year to be a millionaire, you're too far in the year to be a bride or a groom, you're too far in the year to be a mom or a graduate, I want you to say this. I am the frequency of possibility. That's that I am. I am the frequency of possibility. What doesn't even look like it's possible right now today, I can birth tomorrow. I can plant seeds in tomorrow. I planted seeds for yesterday, stuff that doesn't even look like it's growing. So you can't tell me who I am, what's coming for me, what's next for me, what's ready for me. I am the frequency of possibility. And the next time somebody want to tell you what the rest of your year is supposed to look like, I want you to just go ahead and say, I know you lying. I know you lying. Well, I know you lying. Y'all have to know that I love Mojo Brooks, and he always does that. I know you lying. He adds in some other colorful words, but I love it. Okay, so I had to go ahead and implement it into a little bit of humor of a moment of harmony, but very seriously, very sacredly. Don't let anyone tell you that you are not her. You are not him. You are not ready. It is not possible. I don't care how old you are. I don't care how long you've been in it. I don't care what you got at home, what you have in your bank account, what you're driving, what you're looking at. I am the frequency of possibility. Are you asking me or are you telling me? Get smart like that. Roll your neck. You know what I'm saying? Are you asking me? You telling me what I can do? Okay. I'm going to stop being silly with y'all. I am the frequency of possibility. And so are you. Yes. Holidays are going to be coming up soon. You're going to be around your family and they're going to be saying, girl, you still trying to start that business? Oh, girl, you still think you're going to have a baby? Girl, you ain't got, that man ain't put a ring on your finger yet. I, not you, mama, not you, friend, not you, work boss, work bestie. I am the frequency of possibility. I am self-defining. I am self-disciplined. I am self-directed. And I determine for self. I do not accept damaging definitions. I don't live in them. I don't thrive in them. I don't refer to them. I don't use them. They have no place in my identity. My identity is a reality that I feed regularly. And I choose not to feed things that do not serve my current situation, nor will it have any place in my future. I'm not going to feed it. I'm not going to cater to it. It doesn't belong to me. That opinion belongs strictly to you, but it is not at all define me. I am the frequency of possibility. I am the frequency of possibility. You don't know what I'm working on? Go ahead now. I am that I am. All right. So I love you all so much. Thank you for joining me for another moment of harmony on a Monday moment at that. Y'all gotta go to work. Look at y'all up on here. You gotta go to work and you're still tuned in, and I love you so much for it. I will see you this weekend. I can't even say next week. Y'all be seeing y'all again real soon. I will see you this weekend for another moment of harmony. Go ahead and take really good care of yourself. Go do your nighttime routine. Work on your skin and brush your teeth. And do you say prayers? You write in your journal? Whatever you do. Get your foot rubbed. Watch the show. I don't know what you do at night. But take really good care of yourself tonight. It's Tuesday morning in the morning. Take really good care of yourself. Go on out your way to take really good care of someone else soon as you wrap things up for you. And I'll see you this weekend for another moment of harmony. We get into August next. I love you.